Hello, where am I? I'm on YouTube. Okay. I'm just turning down the volume on my fireplace. When I got people coming over, I have a fireplace on one of my TVs, and YouTube can see it from their webcam. You can't see it, doesn't matter. Okay, so welcome to my live. I'm going to be on here for 30 minutes, and then I'm going to move over to TikTok because I'm splitting all my lives in two now, and I'm on YouTube for the whole hour. So go ahead and ask your parenting questions, and if you don't have any, you can maybe just tell me where you're from and how old your kids are. I'm always interested in that. I would say most people on the lives have younger kids. Some teenagers, though. How are you today? I'm feeling great. I'm finally over my cold. I shouldn't be coughing at all today, so I'm really happy about that. Okay, so parenting questions. Oops, sorry. I keep forgetting on Instagram I have to scroll. It doesn't scroll for me. New Mexico, 21 months. Oh, so you've got the toddler. You're in the toddler years. I'm just going to get my notes up. While we're waiting for people for questions, I'll read my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. You have a 3 and 4-year-old. Okay. I actually have a course on how to stop toddlers from hitting and biting, etc. But I'll tell you what toddlers, just a sec. Oh, where did I put it? There we go. Okay, I just have my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers, which will kind of answer that question. I know it off by heart, but I want to get the order right. I don't know why it matters, but anyway. Okay, so number 1 is, these are my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Number 1 is childproof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2 is you set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3 is when you want to connect with a toddler, start your leadership skills. They're really going to look at you differently when you enter their world, when you're playing with them. So you don't go to the nail salon with a 3-year-old, you go to the park and roll down the hill with them. They just look at you differently. And then stop with the mini therapy sessions when you're disciplining under the age of 3. They're not about words, they're about actions. So take consistent corrective actions. So if they are biting, you just say no and you just gently remove them, or you get up and walk away or something. They will eventually connect the dots. It might take 50 times, it might take 100 times. They'll eventually get it. So it's consistent corrective actions, not the mini therapy sessions discussing you don't hurt mommy, that hurts. They're not listening. And then the last one is stop trying to figure them out. Toddlers are not figure-outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They've got one marble and some tumbleweed floating around in there. They're cute as a button, but they're all feet, no brains. They're just forming, right? Okay, so let's get going with your parenting questions. Okay, 15 months. Thank you for doing this. Our son is spicy. I like that word, spicy. By the way, the real, what do you call it, spicy kids, they're often the leaders of tomorrow. So yeah, it's annoying right now, but yeah. Think about it. The leaders of tomorrow, are they generally, or a lot of people, are they the really easygoing people? Often not. So just watched your Ignore the Crazy Reel and love that advice. My 2-year-old is getting violent though, throwing and hitting. Yeah, you restrain them. Whenever I have a course, a little mini toddler course. In the link above, everything I have in my business is in the link above. And one of the courses is how to handle tantrums. Now, are they throwing and getting violent without a tantrum or with a tantrum? Those are 2 different courses. Toddlers who hit, bite, etc., in other words, get aggressive, that's a different course from the tantrum course. If they're doing all that during a tantrum, that's a different method. Anyway, did I say that right? Sometimes I'm talking and I think, am I getting that right? Anyway, okay. Kentucky, 17 months. I haven't had a lot of people from Kentucky. New Jersey, my grandson is 20 months old. I watch him 5 days a week. Oh, so you're busy. I have a granddaughter due, my very first grandchild. So I'm not a grandmother quite yet. My children doesn't stop and relax at all. Yeah, some of them are like that. We're from Switzerland, 2-year-old daughter, next one coming in January. Congratulations. So you're going to have a toddler and a newborn. That's sometimes the most difficult time for parents, is when they've got a toddler and a newborn, because they're so physically demanding and and they're in such different stages. So if you're stuck breastfeeding and the toddler is running around getting into stuff, yeah, it can be challenging. Or not. You might have a really easy, like my son, they were 5 years apart, but he was I would call him a very easy to manage toddler. Like, he wasn't rambunctious at all. So, but yeah, he had tantrums, but he wasn't rambunctious. What can I do? He is very social and nonstop. He's 4 years old. Well, I don't know what your question is. If he's social and he's busy, is that a problem? So long as he's well behaved. If you're having behavioral problems, that's a different matter. Check out my boot camp course. It's in the link above if you're interested, or just try my free behavior board. Everything's in the link above. Okay. My 2-year-old doesn't want to eat. We set the table. Yeah. Okay. So is he having too many snacks or is he having too much milk? Milk is actually like liquid food. I'm not a nutritionist, so I can't really comment on that, but milk can really fill them up like food. I'll tell you what I did with my son. He didn't want to eat much either. And he just was never into food really. So I don't remember how old he was. He probably 18 months or maybe 2. And I thought, that's it. I'm just not going to give him any snack. Like he just wanted to eat, what was it, pasta or something? And I thought, fine, he wouldn't eat any fruit and vegetables for a while. So I thought, fine, I'm just going to not give him anything except for what I want him to eat. He went like 2 days without eating, but he was drinking milk. Probably wasn't 2 days. It was probably 1 day. I was freaking out. I thought, how can a toddler go without eating? But milk was filling him up. So I didn't think that one through, did I? I'm not sure if he's ADHD. It doesn't matter if he's ADHD. All the kids I work with, that's where I learned all this from. So does it matter if he's ADHD? If he is, you still want to set yourself up as a leader, whether they are or not. I work with alphabet kids. That's what I always called them. They always had something after their name. ADHD, WXYZ. No one ever said to me, here's an easy one, Lisa. They always went, good luck with this one. So they were always the feisty kids that I was working with. And that's where I learned all this. I didn't learn much with my own kids. I got respect when they were tiny and kind of sailed right through the teen years. How do you correct a 2.5-year-old saying something you'd prefer them? Not the phrase, go away when frustrated and mad. Just ignore it. 2.5, not much you can do. Just ignore it. Like look like they didn't even say anything. They go away and just kind of look like this. I wouldn't give it any attention at all. 17-month-old starting to whine and feel frustrated a lot. Runs away when frustrated. How do I help? Well, I don't know what's going on. I need context around that. What are they frustrated over? So I don't know. I would need context to be able to answer that. Extremely defiant 3.5-year-old twin sometimes hits when he doesn't want to do something. How to discipline. Check out the behavior board and you put down no hitting. Okay. The behavior board's free. It's in the link above and just check that out. And then, put down no hitting. If kids hit, the rule is always no hitting on that behavior board. If parents yell, the rule is always no yelling. All my clients yell, by the way. It's very rare that I get a client who doesn't yell. And it's like I don't even know what to do with them. It's so rare to come across a parent who does not yell. My parents never yelled. I never yelled. But that's because we sort of had other things that, like, I'm teaching you what else to do instead of yelling. But most parents yell because it works in the short term, but it backfires down the road. Yeah, it comes right back at you. He doesn't have any boundaries, and I work on your leadership skills. That's what it's all about. You lead, they will follow. It's just the way it is. When you're like, I've worked with hundreds of kids, and they were all challenging kids, and no one ever handed me an easy one to work with. And I managed to get respect with all of them. Was it them? Did I just catch them on a good day? No, it's leadership. So you lead, they will follow. Check out my boot camp course if you want to set yourself up as a leader. Otherwise, check out my behavior board. And if they're under the age of 3, that's not the behavior board. It's consistent corrective action. I have a bunch of toddler courses actually available. But yeah, you lead and they will follow. It's just the way it is. Think about it this way. Have you ever had a teacher or a boss or a coach that you really looked up to? Would you ever disrespect that person or say anything rude? It'd be embarrassing, wouldn't it? Kids are no different. When they look up to if you're a really good leader and they look up to you, they want to please you. It's just the way it is. Children, but from the age of 3 to 12, their behavior is 100% a direct result of your parenting. That's the height of your leadership skills. That's when you really need them and when they're working at their height. 3 to 12 years old. All their behavior is a direct result of your parenting. There's a few exceptions, but I exaggerate to get my point across. There are some exceptions, but generally, so you lead, they will follow. Children need, crave, and want a leader. If you don't provide that for them, they're going to be very vulnerable out there in the world. They're going to be very susceptible to peer pressure, bullying, the drug dealer on the corner, the internet, the Kardashians. They're going to go searching a leader somewhere else because they need it. And if you're not providing that, boy, they are vulnerable out there in the world. You don't want that. You said you don't like timeout. Yeah, I hate it. Yeah. Okay, you're asking me what to do instead of timeout. Everything I teach. Check out the behavior board. You can start there. That's completely free. I suggest before you buy a course or hire me, take a look at that behavior board anyway. But if you think you're gonna get the course or hire me for coaching, it's all in the link above. Then don't try it on your own first. It's gonna be harder to make it work if they've seen you fail at it. But yeah, and if you're gonna do it on your own, the behavior board, make sure you pick a battle you know you can win. So don't pick the hard stuff. If you hire me for coaching, we're going to pick the harder stuff. Because even if you do fail, which parents often do, I know how to use that to our advantage the next time, the next week. So yeah, check out the courses and that above. And the behavior board is completely free. When's a good time to get rid of the high chair? When you can't smash them in there anymore, right? I think my kids were in the grocery store shopping cart till they were about 16 years old. Once you can't bend their legs enough to get them in there. Yeah, my kids love sitting up in the high chair. That's where we did painting. They did Play-Doh. They, played with pasta, and that was like a fun place to be too. So it wasn't just about eating. So yeah, I kept them in there for as long as possible. And then I took the tray down. They just used it like a stool up against the table. So yeah, it was not a negative thing as long as they fit in there. And then when do they come out of the crib or the cot? In Australia, where I raised my kids, it was called a cot. When do they come out of there? They say the first time they go splat on the floor. That was it. I dismantled the cot and I just put the mattress on the floor and put pillows all around it. So yeah. Any tips on getting my 2-year-old to lay still for diaper changes? I'll give you, like, I was very much the leader in the family. There's usually a leader and a pleaser. If there's going to be a leader, there's often a pleaser that goes with it. It's quite rare to have two really strong, calm leaders in a family. I was definitely the leader, and my husband at the time, he was the pleaser. And it works really well together so long as you're on the same page. He always deferred to me as the kids got older. If they ever tried to push him around, he'd say, "Do you want me to tell mom?" And they go, "Never mind." So my mom and dad had that same dynamic. So long as you just need one leader. Anyway, that when I was changing my kids, they were pretty good with me. They might have squirmed a little bit, but I just put my arm across their chest and zip, it was done before they even knew what happened. They didn't tend to fight me because they knew there was no point. They only tend to fight when they think there's a point. Dad, on the other hand, might say, "Okay, let's take a break. Do you want to read a little bit? Or if I give you this toy, then will you lay still?" He was reasoning with them and all that. They would squirm. They were like a crocodile spinning around with him. So they knew who was in charge and who wasn't. So it's a really good opportunity to start exercising your leadership. When I said we're going to change your nappy or diaper, sorry, in Australia it's called a nappy. When I said I'm going to be changing your diaper, and it's going to happen. Like, they knew when I said something, it was going to happen. It's one of those opportunities. It's one of the first things you can do to exercise your leadership, like getting them in the car seat when they don't want to get in there. My son had tantrums. My daughter never did. But my son had tantrums, so he would go stiff as a board. And with Dad, he would have probably not gotten that car seat for a while. He might have even been able to get out and walk around. Not with Mom. My hand was on his belly. As soon as he took a breath, folded him, and in click, click, and he went. So yeah, they eventually learn who's in charge. But you're going to go through stuff with toddlers. They don't learn everything right away. It takes them like maybe 100 times before they learn it. My son probably was stiff as a board 100 times before he finally realized. But he was probably like that with his dad for another 200 times. There's nothing wrong with having a pleaser in the family. It's actually kind of nice to have that balance. There's nothing wrong with that. The leader is usually the fun, goofy one too. The leader is very much the one the kids go to. Doesn't mean they love you more. It just means that it's a different dynamic. You're the one they turn to for everything. But the pleaser, like my dad was the pleaser, but I knew if I was trying to get away with something with behind my mom's back, it was like she had ears like a bat. She always could pick up on stuff. And if I was trying to get something out of Dad that I knew she wouldn't like, and I'd get eye contact with her, and I'd go, "Never mind, Dad." So yeah, you only need one leader. Okay. How do you manage taking a 3-year-old to the store that tends to try to, you said elope, I mean, you mean escape, or try to grab everything they want and flip out when they don't get what they want? Okay. That's just they're in charge totally. My kids sat up in that shopping cart forever. I mean, I'm sure they were 16 years old before they ever came out of there. I had a goodie bag. They only had that goodie bag when they sat up in that cart. And then as soon as they got out of the cart, that was taken away from them. So they love sitting up in that cart. That was the goodie bag. I changed it every single time we went out. They never saw it at any other time, not in the car, never. They only got that in the shopping cart. And they knew once you give them the taste of freedom, it's very hard to get them back in, but you can lure them back in with that goodie bag. It's going to be hard. The first few times is going to be hell, but it's worth it. So yeah, 3, they can still be sitting up in that thing. They're in charge, by the way. They know it. They're in charge. Work on your leadership skills. Check out the link above. It teaches you how to be a leader. There's all sorts of stuff in there. There's the course and the behavior board. Then you can hire me for coaching if you want. Okay, 4.5-year-old, second child coming now. Any tips and advice? Not really. You can't really prepare a young child for what's coming. How could you possibly? It's impossible. So just go with it. Try to, the obvious stuff, try to give the other one as much attention as possible. Some of the stuff where, give them a baby or a doll to look after too. I don't know if that works. It's just a process, and accept the fact that they might act out a little bit. My son was 5 when my daughter was born, but he was quite a passive little boy. So I don't think he would have had any problems earlier on either. But it depends on their personality. Some of them will fight back. Funny thing is though, that when he was 2 years old, and I had another friend who had a 2-year-old boy, and she just had a brand new baby girl. And both of our sons were very similar. They were quite passive and gentle. They never did anything aggressive. We were shocked. Her little boy, I guess he was sick of this baby after a week. It was only a week old. And he picked her up and threw her on the ground. Took her out of the bassinet and threw her on the ground. You would not expect that. So yeah, 4.5, they should know better, but you always supervise a newborn. Yeah. I end up being a pleaser and give them everything they want because I start to feel guilty. Okay, I would feel guilty if I was a pleaser. They need a leader. They need a leader. That's one of the main things kids need. What's interesting is whenever I've worked with troubled teenagers, they use different languages to say this, but they've all said to me, I wish my parents had been tougher on me growing up. They identify leadership and discipline with love. They connect the two. Parents don't. They think discipline is mean. It's actually mean not to discipline kids because you're raising kids that are going out in the world with no self-discipline, right? You got to teach them right from wrong and hold them to it. But yeah, and those teenagers don't want parents to be harder on them now. They identify though that some of them have even said, my parents didn't love me enough to discipline me. I've even heard that. I've heard that many times from teenagers. Yeah, they didn't love me enough to discipline me. They connect, discipline is love. Oh, thank you. Blessed_hope. I tried the garbage truck with the pacifier 2 days in, doing great. Oh, fantastic. That's how you get a kid off a pacifier. As I said, you put all the pacifiers in a bag, have your kid drop them in the wheelie bin or the garbage truck, somewhere where you can't get access to, and then they understand. They're more likely to understand that. Good for you. You did the work. Good for you. Happy for you. My 2-year-old keeps biting and screaming and crying since I gave birth to my other baby. It's just a process. How could they possibly understand how their life's going to change? That is just a process. It might take up to 3 to 6 months. I don't know what else to tell you. The thing is, too, don't always be angry with the 2-year-old. Look for the moments you address bad behavior by consistent corrective actions with the 2-year-old, but then you want to find the good kid. You want to focus on the good kid. You address bad behavior like that. It's like a business transaction. No emotions. Get it done very quickly, but then you focus on the good kid. Yeah, you shouldn't have done that. Here, I'm putting that toy away. Now, do you want to read a book? It's that quick. It's that quick. No, you don't do that. Okay, that's getting put away. You want to read a book? You see, it's that quick. You focus on the good kid. You got to turn that around really quickly. Don't say, I wouldn't have put that away if you hadn't done. That's mean. That's berating them. They start to connect that bad behavior with their identity. You don't want to do that. I have no problem saying, what a rotten thing to do. Here's your consequence. Now, do you want to go to the park? You see? Don't get caught up in words. It doesn't matter. Address that bad stuff and just say, yeah, what a dumb thing to do. Yeah, that was bad. Blah. Don't worry about the word. When they're 2, they're not going to understand all that. But as they get older, people are so worried about the words. It doesn't matter. Kids don't care. You address the bad behavior like that, like a business transaction, no emotions. Yeah, we all do dumb things. We're all human, right? No big deal. Okay, here's your consequence. Now, do you want to go to the park? Focus on the good kid. What you focus on grows. Where you put your energy grows. The good kid will grow. If you keep putting all your energy into their bad behavior, that's going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. I don't feel like telling the pool story, but it's just such a good story to explain that. How you focus on the good kid, but you still address the bad behavior. What kind of things would you put in the goodie bag? Go to the dollar store, get a whole bunch of stuff. I put tons of little things in there, like just little toys, silly things that, oh, what's this, a yo-yo? Whatever, it doesn't matter. But that's not the point. Also, they're like, and I always used to put a little book in there too, so we could read together. So it was kind of bonding. They're almost eye level with you, and you go, oh, what's that? And there was also a little drink and some little healthy snacks. So it was just, like they only ever saw that when they sat in the shopping cart, though. Not when they were sitting in the pram, not when they were in the car. Never any other time did they ever get that. And did they ever have a fit over it? No, because I never opened the gate to that. If you're always sort of decide this is what I'm going to do and you don't mess it up the first time, they had no clue that they could actually touch that thing at any other time. They never asked for it. They wouldn't have had a clue that that was even possible because they connected that goodie bag. It was the shopping cart goodie bag or the shopping goodie bag. They connected that with the shopping cart. They didn't get it till they were sitting in that shopping cart. Next thing you know, mom's got the goodie bag. Here you go. Yeah, I'm stepping into the fatherhood role for two step kids, 2 and 3. Any tips for building relationship and establishing myself as a father? It's all sort of the same stuff. It's a little bit more complex though when you've got blended families, and play with them as much as possible. Play with them in their world. You always play with kids in their world, not your world. So yeah, play with them as much. I don't want to give too many tips here because I don't know your situation, and I don't know if the other father's in the picture. How much of a father are you going to be? Are you going to be the second father or the only father? So see what I mean? And what's the mother like? Is she a leader or a follower? Yeah, that's usually in coaching that stuff comes up. Yeah, I need a lot of context around that. How to be a good leader to your littlies? It's usually about playing. It's always about connecting anyway. It's about connecting and bonding with your kids, no matter how old they are. That's 99.9% of parenting. The discipline is a tiny little part of it, but then it's about connecting and bonding with them in their world. You want to enjoy them. Oh my goodness, I'm so far behind here. Sorry, but I always forget that Instagram doesn't scroll for me and TikTok scrolls for me, so I'm learning still. So the tantrum because of a toy, chocolate and tantrum because of fatigue, hunger should be treated the same way. I don't know what you mean by that. I have no idea what you mean by that. Oh, no, no, no. If they're having a tantrum because their needs aren't being met, that's what you're asking me. So you treat a tantrum the same way, whether or not they're tantruming for a chocolate or a toy, as opposed to they're tantruming because they're tired and hungry. No, you do not ignore a tantrum when they're tired and hungry. You meet their needs and manage their wants. Usually a tantrum is over their want, but if it's over a need, that's you got to feed them and get them to bed. So yeah, I don't ignore that. I don't ignore their needs. Good question though. Someone asked me that I think Friday. It's a good question. Actually, I should do a video on that one. Tantrums over needs versus wants. Okay, I'll do a tantrum. I'll do a video on that. I was going to pick up the microphone. I don't know why. And another, so I was going to sing or something. Okay. Yeah, that's a very good question. Was your kids in no, I was a stay-at-home mom. Someone said, were your kids in daycare? No, I was a stay-at-home mom. And but my kids went to every single morning. I went to the gym. I'm really into fitness. And when the kids were young, as soon as they were up on their feet, then I took them to the gym daycare every single day, weekday. And my son especially loved it. He would cry on the weekends. I had to get dressed so that he couldn't see me because they didn't have any daycare on the weekends. So I had to get out of the house before he could see me. He didn't want to miss out on his social life. So, but yeah, they went to gym daycare every day. My daughter, not so much. She was a Velcro kid. She wanted to be with me all the time. That's why it was even more important to put her in daycare. I was more inclined to go to gyms. I used to work at gyms, and I was aerobics instructor back in the day. And I was more inclined to go to gyms where I could see her and she could see me. So when I was up on stage and she could see me, she was happier that way. But I had the luxury of being able to do that. So, any tips on an 18-month-old that still doesn't say any words? Well, some kids don't talk till they're 3. So, why are you in a rush? Or if you're really concerned, go to a pediatrician. I can't comment on that. So, look, I wouldn't have worried. My kids, God, they never shut up. Yeah, my son especially. God, he talked a lot. I don't know where he got it from, but yeah. He was talking at a very young age. My daughter, not so much, because my son and I were talking all the time, so she couldn't get a word in edgewise anyway. So yeah, she definitely didn't talk as soon as he did. But it was just him and I most of the time, and we talked constantly. I knew someone years ago who didn't talk or walk until she was 3 years old. And then when she did, she got up and ran and was speaking full sentences. She was just a very laid back person, still is. So yeah, just no rush. Her younger brother was getting her stuff for her too. She'd just point and grunt and he'd get her whatever she wanted. So yeah. Okay, I'm going to move over to TikTok now because I'm splitting all my lives in half. So on YouTube, I'm on the whole time, the whole hour, but now I'm splitting all my lives in half. So 30 minutes on Instagram, 30 minutes on TikTok. If you want to join me over there, it's Bratbusters Parenting. And if you are coming over, can you maybe say it came from Instagram? I'd like to know how many people move over. So thanks very much for watching, and check out the link above if you want to know anything about my courses, the free behavior board, or coaching. It's all in the link. Okay, we'll talk to you over on TikTok. Sorry, YouTube, I'm just moving over here. Okay. Done. Okay, I'm just waiting now. YouTube, do you like my little fireplace? It's just a little TV. I don't have a fireplace. I could have got a place with an apartment with a fireplace. It wasn't important to me, but I like that. Okay, welcome. Hi, Taylor. You've been here a lot. Okay, so who came over from Instagram? I just finished 30 minutes on Instagram. Boy, that is quite the name. Couldn't possibly read that. Okay, so let's just get right into it. I'm only here for 30 minutes because just as of last week, I'm splitting all my lives in half now. 30 minutes on Instagram, 30 minutes on TikTok. I don't know which order, but tonight it was Instagram first. And Sally Jesse Raphael. Did she pass away recently? I think I heard something about her in the news. Came from Instagram. Hello. Thanks for moving over. I appreciate that. Okay, so let's get going with your parenting questions. The link above has everything I've got to offer. That's my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, and my coaching. It's all in the link above. I'm on here every day talking about something, and I just redid my coaching video for my website. You have no idea how long that took me. I'm not good at speeches. That's like a speech. I'm not good at that. It was just awful. I just hated doing it because it's just a speech, and I never prepare anything. So I'm just off the top of my head trying to think of what to say. But yeah, I really struggled with that. I looked at it and I thought, why was it? It wasn't even that great. I looked at it and I go, oh, whatever. I got it done. Okay, how do you get a toddler to stop hitting? I have a course on that if you're interested. If not, it's consistent corrective actions. Toddlers are not about words. They're not about the mini therapy sessions discussing all the big feelings and big emotions. That was invented for the mom, not for the toddler. So they're about consistent corrective action. Just say no and then push them away gently and then walk away. They'll eventually learn. Not the first time, not the first 50th time. Might be 100 times. They will eventually learn. Okay, so, oh boy. I talk so fast. I'm talking faster now because I'm splitting my lives up. So I only have 30 minutes on Instagram and then 30 minutes on TikTok. So it's making me talk faster as if I didn't talk fast enough. Hello, Singapore. Welcome. Okay, so parenting questions. How do you handle picky eater? I can't talk about that because I'm not a nutritionist, but I'll tell you what I did with my kids. So, well, for one thing, I'm not into junk food at all. So I was more so when I was younger, but I just made everything from scratch and everything in our house was healthy. So I didn't have any ice cream or potato chips or cookies, but not bought cookies. I had my homemade ones that were all like full of wheat germ and seeds and hardly any sugar. Anyway, so but yeah, I cooked really healthy. So my kids had two choices. You could have this healthy food or that healthy food. So I eliminated all the junk food. They knew if they didn't eat their dinner, there was no ice cream waiting for them. So that's how I handled it. Yeah. Taiwan. Hi, Taiwan. How do you handle biting? If it's a toddler, I'm assuming it's a toddler. So I have a course on that. I just answered that. If not, with all toddlers under the age of 3, they're toddlers. It's about consistent corrective actions because they learn through repetition. They don't learn through words. They learn through repetition, physical, consistent corrective actions. So you just say no and then push them away and then go and wander off somewhere. Don't look mad. Don't ever look angry. If you look angry or mad at your kids when you're disciplining, you're not doing it right. Leaders don't do that. That's not the way you do it. You have to stay completely, it's like a business transaction. Like if a kid is acting out with me, I say, I didn't like that. I'll tell you what we're going to do. And then I lay out a consequence and then I say, okay, do you understand? And then you want to go to the park? Like I completely switch. There's no emotions to disciplining. None. It's a business transaction. And love your kids enough to discipline them. If you don't discipline your children, they won't have any self-discipline. They're going to go out in the world. Everyone's going to hate them. They're going to go to school. They're going to be completely unruly. And you're going to get defensive. Well, it's not my fault. It's the other. It's just a mess. So love your kids enough to discipline them, to teach them right from wrong and follow through with consequences. Teach them about accountability. The behavior board is all about accountability. For you too. You're on there too. I'm going to write that down. Love your kids enough to discipline them. I've talked about that a lot, but I'll do it again. I'll do another video on that. Is 2 too young to determine ADHD? I'm not a doctor, so I can't comment on that. Recipes, please. No, God, no, you don't want my recipes. I'm a horrible cook. I hate cooking. But I made everything from scratch, so, just look it up. I made all the pizza, all our bread, all our cakes, all our cookies. Everything was from scratch, and I hate cooking, so you can imagine. 30 years of cooking for a family like that. It was a nightmare. But I love cleaning, so yeah. I don't have any. If I do have recipes, but that's not what I do. Okay. Well, loud screaming all the time. I don't know the age, and are they mad or happy or toddler always seems angry and always fighting with me. When you say I need to know the age. If they're 3 and above, check out the behavior board. If they're under 3, it's consistent corrective actions. They often are angry with you because they're challenging you because you're not a leader. If you're a leader, they're not angry. It tends to calm them down. Leadership calms your children down. It calms their emotions. They feel safe, they feel secure, and they're going to tell you everything right through the teen years when you get good at this stuff. Where did you get the time to be so organized? Any routine tips? I was more of a minimalist for one thing. And I did a toy rotation system, so even the toys were minimal. And I did laundry every single day. I never clean a dirty house. I maintain a clean one. And I cook in batches too. I never just cook for one night. I seem to always cook for, a couple of nights or a couple of days. So I would make a whole batch of a bunch of bread and a bunch of, So yeah, cook in batches. Be a minimalist. Don't have a bunch of stuff around, and do a toy rotation system. That helps. Oops. Okay. How would you handle a 3-year-old who constantly says no to everything I say? That's not the toddler, that's you. So you got to work on your leadership skills. If you were a leader, they just wouldn't do that. It just wouldn't happen. So work on your leadership skills. I have a full course, a boot camp course, teaches you how to be a leader in 5 weeks from 3 to 12-year-olds. So check that out if you're interested. If not, just start with the behavior board. I suggest you check that out first anyway. And it sort of gives you an idea of my style. It's about you're accountable, they're accountable, everyone's accountable. It's a big accountability party. So if you don't teach accountability to your children, how do you expect them to make good choices? So you're guiding them to make good choices. Now, set yourself up as a leader. That's all that is. They wouldn't say, they're just not disrespectful. When you're a leader, they want to please you because they look up to you. They feel good about themselves when they're with you. We're not we're not opting here for obedient little soldiers. Who would want that? You don't want little simps. I mean, you want kids who are confident, have high self-esteem, and they have a voice. Believe me, my kids told me exactly what they were thinking at any given time. So they did not hold back at all. And that was good, but they were very respectful. Because they also knew, I used to say, if you ever speak to me in a tone of voice that's not respectful, I ain't listening to nothing. So, and I wouldn't expect them to listen to me if I'd ever yelled either. Like I didn't yell or anything. So, you respect each other, and they just learn that too. By the way, if you yell, you raise yellers. You know you shouldn't yell, but everyone does. Well, I never did. My mom never did. But if you don't know what else to do, you're going to yell. So most of my clients yell. Just put down no yelling on the behavior board if you've got kids 3 and over. I can't answer this because I don't have any context. Why does my 2.5-year-old not want anything to do with me? I don't know the context around that. So thank you. Literally, I could say the sky is blue and he will say it's purple. So he's testing you. Yeah, he's just testing you, or she is. Yeah, it's like, how far can I go with this? Are you ever going to lead me? They desperately want a leader. Do you know the quickest kids I've worked with that I could turn around and get respect from were the feistiest, the ones where whoever was handing them over would go, good luck with this one. Sorry about that, Lisa. And I always thought, yeah, okay. They were the quickest ones to turn around because when they come up against a strong, calm leader, they almost go like this. Oh, thank God, finally. They desperately need leadership. If you don't provide it for them, they're out of control. They're looking for it elsewhere. They're going to be very susceptible out there in the world. They're going to be very vulnerable to peer pressure, bullying, the drug dealer on the corner, the internet, the Kardashians. They're going to go searching out leadership somewhere if you're not a leader. When you're a leader at home, they're going to tell you everything right through the teen years. You're going to be a safe place to land that they tell everything to. And that's what you want. Yeah, 100% testing my boundaries. Yeah, I know. Yeah, absolutely. That's good though. That means you know what it is. And now you just set yourself up as a leader. Their behavior is direct result of your parenting. So if they're testing you, it means you're not a leader. They don't test leaders. Why would they? Like if my kids had ever been rude to me, I would have gone, are you kidding me with this? Like, do you have a fever? Like, why would they? There was no point. There's no payoff for it. Why? And they would have been embarrassed because they respected me. And I respected them though. You got to give respect to get it. You got to work for this. You got to earn it. It's hard work to get it. Once you've got it, piece of cake. Maintenance is easy. Okay, 2-year-old from spitting. Yeah, just say no, and every time he does, just sort of walk away. Yeah, you have to clean it up, right? So if he's spitting on the floor, say no, clean it, and then walk away. Take a toy away from him too, if you can. If he's holding something, say no, and then consistent corrective actions. So you walking away is a corrective action. They don't usually like that. Or you taking something away as a corrective action. Has to be consistent though. If you miss one spit, they're going to remember that. They remember your mistakes, not your successes. They just do. I remember my son, he was a teenager, and he was saying, and we were laughing at all the dumb things I've done as a mother. And I've done a lot. We've all done a lot. And he says, remember the time you did this? And then I said, what about all the great things I've done? And he went like this, what? Like, what? You've done great things? Okay, I'm just going to look at YouTube now. My son is 9 months and he hits 2. Is this easy to correct him? Okay, he's just a baby right now. You just say no and you just hold his hands like that and then you kind of look away. You don't keep addressing it. You just say every single time. It has to be fast though. It has to be right in the moment so he can connect the no and the serious look and the holding his hand for just a minute, a few seconds, whatever. He'll eventually learn. It is common behavior, by the way. This is from Sam Nome on YouTube. Very common. They grow out of it. They're just trying stuff. If it ain't working, they're going to stop doing it. I feel like I do that too. I don't tolerate disrespect, but I also give him respect. It has to be a two-way street. If it isn't, then you're just the old-fashioned authority style parent. And kids will rebel as when teenagers against the authority, but they'll usually come out the other end fine and appreciating what their parents did for them. So it's not a bad way to parent, but I don't like that. I'd rather be the friend, the leader. The leader is also the friend. But you're always parent number one. That's your number one role. Like if my teenagers had done something that, I just would have gone, what? Like, it was a very respectful relationship. So, but yeah. Mm. Any advice for a mom who's struggling with a toddler who doesn't want to feed himself? Well, I don't know. Is he 2.5 or 1.5 or and do you not want to hand feed him? Or you can just be really slow with it. Like I've looked after kids where they just want to be, and maybe I don't have the time, I don't want to do it. So I'll just get real slow. I'll load up the spoon and then I'll be really, really slow. If you're that slow, they'll often want to take charge. So yeah, make sure it's not a real perfect experience when you're hand feeding. What should you do when you pick up your kid from something and they throw a fit screaming and fighting? If they're having a tantrum, allow them to have it right on the spot and you completely ignore tantrums. I go through that a lot. I got a million videos on how to ignore tantrums um, and why you do that. And but yeah, if you can, just do it there. If it's too embarrassing and you can't handle it, I would have loved it. I would have pulled out the nail file and I'm just like, watch me go, watch and learn. I was very proud of how I handled that. But yeah, just get your nail file out and just stand there waiting. If you're too embarrassed and you really can't handle it, drag them somewhere else, put them in the car or something, and then ignore. You still don't look at them or talk to them. You just pick them up and move them if you have to. But yeah. Um, how much time have I got? Okay, I'll tell you the mall story. My son was 3.5, no, 3. And it was the second to last tantrum. He had one more after this. We were in the mall and he just threw a tantrum. So I pulled him off to the side and it was a very loud, crowded mall. So it wasn't disturbing people. So he's having a tantrum and I just pulled out my nail file and I'm just like this. Funny part is all these young moms kept coming up to me. Oh, you should give him a hug. Talk about his big feelings, all that garbage. And I'm like, yeah, keep going. They didn't know what they were talking about. But anyway, the funny thing is all these grandmothers and moms with older kids kept coming up to me saying, you know what you're doing. I'm like, yeah, I do. Who would you listen to, the experience or the non-experience? So yeah, it was really funny. Anyway, he finished having a tantrum. Didn't go on that long because he got no attention at all from me. As soon as he's finished, I said, oh, y'all done? Okay, let's go. And we just walked off. No big deal. I don't discuss tantrums before, during, or after. What is the point? I don't put any energy into that because I don't want to ever see it. So it's like it doesn't even exist. Okay. Your son has high functioning autism. If you want my advice with autism, you have to hire me for that. That's coaching only. That's like a specialty. I only deal with that in coaching. I can't generalize with autism here because every autistic child is very different in what works with them. We throw mud at the wall and then we got to figure out what sticks. Also, what's worked in the past, what hasn't worked in the past, blah, blah, blah. I need to assess the whole situation before I can give you any advice at all. So yeah, that's coaching if you're interested. Everything's in the link above. Okay, here we go. I'm assuming I'm lose track of who's asked what, like your names. I feel pressurized by the moms around me, judging and asking, "Oh, he doesn't feed himself." So those types, who gives a crap what they think? Oh, he doesn't feed himself? No, like who cares what they think? If yeah, I don't like people like that. Actually, I was really lucky. I raised my kids in Australia, and it's almost like a fight to talk about who's the worst mom and the worst kids, very self deprecating. So we would laugh. I was in all these play groups and that, and we'd say, oh, wait to hear what my kid did today. You know, we were always trying to out fumble each other, like what a rotten mother we are, what a rotten kid. It was always like humor based, and it was great. There was no bragging or anything. It was really good. It was great. I love all that stuff. So yeah, if anyone judgmental, we didn't have anyone judgmental in the group at all. It was all just, wait till you hear what he did. Jeez, what a mess. You know, we smeared crap all over the wall and, laugh. I mean, it was fun. Kids are fun. Laugh it off. So yeah, don't take it too seriously. Maybe you got to surround yourself with a different type of person. Yeah, I didn't have any friends like that. I can't let my child, oh, you're challenging me here. Okay. I can't let my child throw his tantrum because he will cuss or threaten to hit someone or something. Whoo, he's in charge and he knows it. Whoa. Okay. So I'd still ignore, but if they get violent, I don't care about the cussing. If they get violent physically, if they're hurting themselves, hurting someone else, or damaging property, if they're under the age of 7 and you can physically handle them, you just restrain them for a short period of time and then let them go and see how they manage. But you still don't look at them or talk to them. If they get violent, you restrain them. You physically restrain them. You don't do that with an older kid. Yeah. Signing off for the night from Ireland. Shannon from Ireland. I always thought I was half Irish because I'm adopted, and I was told I'm half French and half Irish. So I always celebrated every St. Patty's Day. Oh, a bit of the Irish in me. And then I found out I'm not Irish at all. I'm half French and half Norwegian. So I don't know what Norway sounds like, but it's not funny. They could have told me I was Chinese or anything. I would have believed it. They didn't know. They just had it wrong on the form. Okay. When I do that, he screams that I'm hurting him. I'll laugh my, yeah. So, oh, well, your choice. If you don't struggle, it won't hurt. Yeah, he's definitely pushing you. He's testing you. Okay, I don't like this one. Is putting a 3-year-old in his room for a few minutes an appropriate punishment? I would never do that because that's like timeout. I don't like it. No, I want them right in front of me. I want them to see me how I'm dealing with it. If you need separation, then do it. Do whatever you got to do. But yeah, it's very important to me that they see how calm I am. It's like, are you kidding me with this? I need them to see that. That's that leadership stuff. I need them to see that I know what I'm doing. I remember when I was looking after other kids and my kids were around too. And then another kid would act out and my kids would instantly go like this because they're like, mom knows what, because I never got to discipline my kids. They were, I got it sort of the respect cemented when they were little, but other kids I had to handle, I had to teach who was in charge and my kids loved it. Just watch me go. It's like, yeah, you're really going to do that, eh? Okay, your choice. Yeah, we'll see. So yeah, kids learn and they love a leader. Kids are drawn to a leader. You become like the Pied Piper. They feel safe with a leader, and a really good leader makes kids feel good about themselves because you're bringing out the best in them. You're guiding them into making good choices. When they make a bad choice, you're right there to say, hey, that was a bad choice. Here's your consequence. Okay. So then they learn next time. So you're actually bringing out the best in them and you're making them feel good about themselves. When you're a good leader, their self-esteem skyrockets. It's not about having obedient little soldiers. That's ridiculous. Who would want that anyway? You want them to have a voice and be confident and have high self-esteem. And they like themselves when they're with you. Therefore, they want to please you. A leader. That young children want to please a leader. I do timeouts when he swiped everything. Yeah, timeout. I hate timeout. I can't stand it. You're not alone in your struggles. Yeah, my gosh. No, are you? I'm always amazed by this. Someone will hire me and say, oh, it's really embarrassing to tell you this. And I'm like, they'll tell me and I go, is that all? Like, I hear this stuff. Plus, I'm not here to judge. I'm here to fix it. I'm here to help you. But it's just so embarrassing. I don't even want to tell you. And I'm like, I've heard it all. Like, it's very rare that something new will come up. I had something come up in January or February this year that was different. It's very unusual that I get something that I haven't seen before. So yeah, and it's like they'll tell me, and I guess they're expecting me to go, oh my God. I've never done that, not once, not ever. Plus, I've mentored troubled teens. When I first started my business, I specialized in teen crisis work. So you can imagine, like, it'd take a lot to shock me. That's why, like online bullying, when someone comes after me online, I've worked with troubled teens. You think you can hurt me? Good luck with that. Yeah, it's funny. Okay. I feel at times parenting toddlers feels isolating, even though we all do it. I think it was probably really tough during the pandemic, right? Because you were really on your own. But join play groups, even go to the playground. I had a friend, a neighbor actually, she was an older woman. I was having a really bad day with my son. We were both sick and hadn't had much sleep. And I was talking to her over the fence, like she was a neighbor. And she goes, the best thing you can do is get dressed and go out. And I went to the park that day. I took her advice and I waved to her as I went by. I was sick and tired and my son was screaming. We got to the park, had a great time. It just changes your perspective. So get around other people. And there was other moms there that looked exactly the same as me, by the way. It was just funny. There was a bad flu going around at the time, so we were all sick and it was awful. But yeah, get out. Get out with your toddler as much as possible. Go to the library or somewhere. There's lots of public places you can go with your toddlers. But yeah, I was always out with them. Sorry. Um, okay. I kind of get what you mean. I'm going to read it out loud. It might make a bit more sense. I totally believe grandparents' house, grandparents' rules. Yes and no. But how can I take back authority when I'm there? Okay. As far as I'm not a grandparent yet, I will be in a few weeks. But as far as I'm concerned, when I'm babysitting, grandma's rules. When the parents are around, their rules. Unless their kids are destroying something in my house, then I would say you have to stop your child because they're their kids. When they're there, the kids are theirs. Like I would never step over that. But yeah, if the kids were destroying something in my home, I would say you got to get your kid to stop that. But yeah, but when I'm babysitting, grandma's rules. If you trust someone enough to babysit your kids, don't micromanage, don't tell them how to do it. But yeah, take back authority. Well, you should be. Whenever you're around, you are the authority. So I don't quite know um, what's going on there. Like, do the kids just not listen to you when the grandparents are around? Because you said, how can I? It's just a contradiction here because how can I take back authority? If you can't get it back, you probably don't have as much as you think you do in the first place. Like if I walk in the room, I'm in charge. Kids knew it. Like when mom's in the room, mom's in charge no matter who else is around. So I'm not an authority, I'm a leader. There's a big difference between the two, by the way. So yeah, the kids knew that. So yeah, maybe work on your leadership skills. So trust me, if you walk in the room and you are in charge if you're a leader. The kids like that, they know it. Oh, okay. I'm glad you corrected that, Allie. Sorry if this has been asked a bunch. No, it hasn't. Any advice about toddler fighting my outfit choices for her? You can have a couple of choices for a toddler, but overall, it's just going to be an initial battle until they learn that you are in charge. They're going to test a whole bunch of stuff out. Like, I don't want to lay here and get my diaper changed. I think I'll squirm around. You're going to have a few fights with them on that change table till they learn you're in charge. Same with the outfit. You might have a couple say, which one do you want? And then if they point to one, you say, that's it. If you go back and give them the other one, they just won. You're not a leader. So give them a choice, but as soon as they've chosen one, put the other one away and you get that one on them. Might be a battle, but it's short-term pain for long-term gain. Once they've made that choice, and you say, this is going on you, it has to go on. Like when I said to my kids, you're getting in the car seat now, they were going to get in the car seat. Like there was no ifs, ands, and buts. So yeah, the problem is that a lot of parents waffle with that. Okay, we can try the other one, and they're like in charge. At that point, they know they're in charge. Well, how do I stop my 16-month-old twins from asking me to pick them up all the time? Can't hold them both. I would just look totally preoccupied. Okay, in a minute, and then I'd look like I'm doing something. Don't get eye contact though. If you look at them, you're in trouble. You just say, okay, I will in a minute, and then start doing something. And they could be hanging on to you. That's okay. Look real busy. Like, yeah, I'll get to you in a minute. So you're not saying no. They're just going to get tired of asking because you're not going to pick them up right away. They're very much in the moment. If you don't pick them up right then and there, they might give up and move on. Everything with little ones is temporary. It's all stage after stage. Just when you think you've got them figured out, they change again. So everything that you're struggling with will usually end. Yeah, they'll find something else to annoy you with. That's what toddlers do. It's their job. And they take it very seriously. Everything with toddlers is usually harder on you than it is on them. Okay. Toddler who says no to everything. So it's going to happen anyway. I mean, what they say no because they don't want to get in the car seat, they're going to get in there anyway. You're putting them in there. So if it's something that has to be done, whether or not they say no or not means nothing to me. Okay, we're going to get in the car now. No, well, pick them up and I put them in the car. It's going to happen. They're never going to win that battle with me. Once you've said something that's going to happen, it has to happen. But as long as you're fair and reasonable and fun, you're meeting their needs. A lot of their needs are connecting with you, having fun with you. I was a very goofy mother. I was playing with my kids all the time. So when I said, hey, it's dinner time or you're getting in the car, they were getting in the car. Like you know what I mean? Because I knew I was meeting their needs. Managing their wants is the discipline. tell you a funny story. My son was, I think, well, I don't know, 3 or 4. We went down, and we lived in Australia, in Brisbane, and down the Gold Coast theme park. It was like Disneyland. There's tons of them, huge theme parks. Anyways, a friend and I both drove down in separate cars because we had car seats and everything. So it's an hour's drive down from Brisbane. We're meeting at Dream World, and my son he was just in a mood. You know, he didn't like to drive down. He didn't say anything, but we get there and he's got a frown on his face. He was probably about 4. And I said to him, I was fed up with this. I drove all the way down there for him to have fun at Dream World. Okay, I liked it too. But anyway, for him to have fun down there. And he had a miserable look on his face. And I said to him, I said, if you don't get a smile on your face, we're going home right now. And my friend went, uh-oh. And I instantly regretted it because I would have driven home. If he didn't, and he went like this. And he smiled, and then it turned into a real smile. But yeah, when you say something, you have to make it happen. And as soon as I said it, I thought, oh God, that's stupid. I never said anything unless I was willing to follow through with it. And that's, your kids learn that. They pick up on that consistency. And I was trustworthy. I didn't lie. When you're inconsistent, kids, it is a lie. Okay, this is going to happen if you don't do that. And then if it doesn't happen, if you don't follow through, you are actually lying. Children don't trust you. So no matter what you say, they're going to think, well, you lie anyway, so it doesn't mean anything. I'm just going to keep pushing. He knew for guaranteed, and so did I, so did my friend. That's why she went, uh-oh, because she knew if he didn't smile, I would have driven right back home, a whole hour going back home. So I should never have threatened with that in the first place, is my point to this story. I should have said something else, but anyway, he was just getting on my nerves with this miserable look on his face. Yeah, never threaten with something you're not willing to follow through on. Okay, actually, I have to get going. I'm splitting all my lives in 2. I do Instagram and TikTok. I already did Instagram, so this is the last of it. And it's on YouTube all the way through, the whole hour on YouTube. And anyway, I got to get going. Check the link above. Everything I have in my business is on there. The free behavior board, the mini toddler courses, the big boot camp course. It's a 5-week course, Get Respect in 5 weeks, 3 to 12-year-olds. And then my coaching is the next level up, one-on-one with me. It's usually an hour a week on Zoom. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me, and have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Bye now.